From a young age, I was always interested in business and entrepreneurship. The ecstatic feeling I got when I thought of a new business idea, and the sense of pride and accomplishment when I completed one could be compared to nothing else. I didn't do it for financial incentive to what many may believe. However, in truth, once I started, I couldn't stop. It was like an addiction that I believe many people may refer to as being a workaholic nowadays. It came to the point where if I were just doing a simple task like watching a TV show or sitting around, I would have this little voice inside my head telling me, this is boring and this is unproductive, and in the long term, really, what am I going to gain out of this? In today's world, we have the extraordinary invention known as the internet. In my mind, in my own personal definition, the internet is a bridge connecting nearly every individual on Earth with each other in order to exchange information. The internet has created this interesting phenomenon where teenagers now have access to the tools to create businesses easier than ever. We are the first generation to have access to a fully evolved internet. Sometimes I like to sit back and think to myself, how fortunate I am to be born in this generation, not maybe 30 years earlier, where the next best alternative would have been a lemonade stand. But even though we have access to these tools, because we are the first generation, it has its setbacks. I've started many businesses that range from online stores to physical businesses, but there's one key defining trait that exists throughout all the businesses I've started. You see, I think everyone here is aware that it isn't exactly common practice for someone like me to be starting a business this early. In truth, I think most people's first impressions when I stepped on the stage was a kid entrepreneur. And due to this, the one similarity between all the businesses I've done was the difficulty associated with being under 18. So I think we have some people in the audience who've started online stores before, and they would know it's common practice to have a team section on your website. This is because it gives a sense of comfort to the consumer as it puts a face behind the product. However, what if I told you it has a negative impact if you're a teenager? Around a year ago, I did an experiment. I created 2 stores with identical products, similar user interfaces. The only difference was one store had no team section at all, and the other store had me in the team section. The store without a team section performed 37% better than the store with me in a team section. Due to this, me and many other teenage entrepreneurs and young dreamers have to hide behind this metaphorical mask. When I create online stores, I don't use a team section. When I sell physical products, I avoid delivering them myself. When I'm on phone calls, I used to use a voice changer to make my voice sound deeper. Out of all the business I've done, the only business that doesn't require me to wear a mask, actually I'm going to rephrase that, that sounds like I'm anti-COVID and masks are crap. Anyways, out of all the business I've done, the only business that doesn't require me to wear a metaphorical mask is the cryptocurrency business. And that's probably because when you think about it, cryptocurrency is younger than I am. It's so new that regulation by government entities hasn't even touched it yet. You see, because of this, anyone that has the knowledge can create one. It doesn't discriminate between age or gender or any other factors you can think of. For example, I have my own cryptocurrency, which focuses on solving voting power disparity. So in cryptocurrencies, there's something called governance, which is basically you're able to vote for blockchain changes. So let's say you have your favorite crypto and you want to change something, you're able to vote for it. However, the issue is, it doesn't use a democratic structure like your general elections when you're voting for a prime minister or a president. It uses a structure where, depending on how much coins you have, your voting power changes. So I think everyone can see the issue with that is you have just a couple of individuals that can control the whole coin because they have a higher stake in the coin. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to implement democracy into the cryptocurrency world without tampering with the decentralization aspect of it. Yet, when it comes to something like the stock world, no matter how much knowledge I have, no matter how much experience, no matter how much research I put in, I cannot open a trading account. I mean, people would come up with an argument saying, yeah, but you have to pay taxes, but if anyone here has invested before, they know of something called an ISA account, which you can invest up to £20,000 with zero tax. Another example would probably be businesses, where I'm fortunate enough to be living in the UK, where you can be 16 years old to be a CEO of a company, but in most countries, you can't even be on the board until you're 18, so you might come up with an amazing idea when you're maybe 13, but I get you can't be a sole owner of the company, but you can't even do one with your parents as on the board. You can't even be a shareholder at all. I mean, I think many people here will think what I'm talking about is a trivial issue, and it really isn't a big deal, and maybe some people might find my whole speech ridiculous. However, it's simple laws like these that are stopping a whole generation of creating significant things. Believe it or not, people under the age of 18 are capable of creating some enormous inventions. An example would be Gitanjali Rao, who was 15 years old when she created a device that uses carbon nanotube sensors to detect lead contamination in water. But even with accomplishments like these, young entrepreneurship isn't exactly widely endorsed. In my case, my previous schools would criticize what I was doing as they deemed it being useless. However, I clearly envision a future where it's not only where schools push entrepreneurship activities, maybe through an entrepreneurship subject where they teach brainstorming business ideas, or you know what, maybe they teach even basic finance, because I think everyone here is aware, it's amazing that from kindergarten all the way to university, they don't teach you any finance. I'm not talking about things like tax, mortgages, tax deductibility, which many people suffer from today. But I'm fortunate enough to enjoy these topics, which is why I go out of my way to research them. But not everyone is like me, which is why I believe it should be mandatory when you're younger to teach such financial skills to prevent suffering when you're older. But I'm not going to get too much into this, but of course the government would never do this. They make too much money on financially illiterate people. My point is, even though the internet has created this marvelous revolution of young entrepreneurs who are striving to create something, to create a product or selling a product, the mindset from buying from one hasn't changed. You see, but in today's fast-paced world, where it's becoming more and more common to buy a product from an Instagram advertisement, it's becoming more and more common that product was sold by somebody under the age of 18. One day there will be a generation where it's not only usual, it's going to be encouraged to start a business under the age of 18, as it pushes such traits of individuality and leadership that will be very important to you in the future. And because of this, one day there will be a generation where teenagers won't have to hide behind this metaphorical mask when creating a business. My final message to all the young dreamers is, go for it. Age should not be a defining factor when it comes to business in today's modern world. You can obtain information faster than ever thanks to the internet. So, it isn't impossible to succeed young. My name is Youssof Altoukhi, and this was my talk. Thank you for listening.